Good morning again to all of you who may be tuning in from either East Coast, West Coast. Do we have a South Coast? How about a North Coast? Anyways, for those who can see this, wherever you are, welcome. I'm again with my good friend, Will, who's an executive at Premier Research and the man who knows everything. And I'm Peter Howe, wellnesswithinreach.com. And just got to say, I love what I do. And say Premier Research Laboratories has been a huge piece in adding, I'll say, a value to my life that I would not ever have if it wasn't for Dr. Marshall and all of you guys. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I think we're going to pick up again. We talked about Cognotropic last time, and now we're going to really get into the brain a little bit more and neurofactors, correct?
Yes, yeah. And thank you again, Peter, always having me on. I think it's a time of season for thankfulness and just being aware of, all the goodness in the world with, 2020 being the year that I think everybody's going to remember for a very long time.
Oh, very long time.
Speaking of remembering, I think cognitive health is possibly in there, whether you're trying to forget or move on. So, with our previous conversation, we really dived into the clinical aspects of Cognotropic, and as you recommend the product to your clientele, and if they're watching this on wellnesswithinreach.com or any sort of social media platform, feel free to go back to that, as I do think that has a wealth of information and why the product is clinically relevant. But today we're going to go into, what is a really good brain stack. When we talk about clinically significant products to really address overall brain health, it's really not just, Cognotropic is a great pillar piece, but you have to have that foundational minutia that, really nourishes the body to make sure that, Cognotropic does its due diligence in creating that environment, but also you have those foundational units that actually help to influence the synaptic cleft activity and change those neurotransmitter modulations, and make sure you just have enough raw material available that the body is actually able to respond accordingly. And so we'll go through 2 or 3 products, maybe even 4 if we get to enough time, not to drown you all with information, but we'll keep
it up, everyone. It's valuable stuff.
Yeah, make sure you have your coffee and your drink and you're taking notes. We're in here for the long haul. But I'm going to share my screen here. And as always, you can always find Premier Research Labs at wellnesswithinreach.com. I will pull you up here, Peter, really quick. And with that being said, if you ever need a clinical consultation with Peter, have questions on the line beyond, what we cover in today's topic, please feel free to reach out to Peter with possibly scheduling a session. You can always go to wellnesswithinreach.com. His number is here at the 508-838-1101. But, ordering Premier Research Labs products, exploring our line within wellnesswithinreach.com as an authorized distributor is a great opportunity. Peter has an awesome website here, and I think you really will be happy with its functionality. So continue to explore that. One of the first products. It's my time-killing device there when I try to pull up the spec. When we think about cognitive health and we could think about cognitive function, a lot of times what we want to optimize is methylation, and methylation is crucial for the body's physiological response and gene manipulation and really neurotransmitter production. It actually goes into acetylcholine production as well, and that can help to produce a whole host range of neurotransmitters, those basic subunits that actually activate or have activity in that synaptic cleft. I mean, whatever goes on between one axonal unit to the other, which if you're a science mind like me, that's the neurons, right? So the activity between that junction is really what makes up your personality. I'll be very crucial with that. Your conscious being here. Now, we won't get into the spiritual planes and the other dynamics that go into that life force, but from a biochemical standpoint, that synaptic cleft is the end all be all for who you are and what you are and what you're doing, right? And how you think and how you approach a situation and all that sort of good stuff. So we're looking for foundational units to help modify, make sure that you're supported, make sure you have enough resources to have a proper reaction within that space of those 2 clefts. And so when we talk about a methyl donor source, we actually kind of covered that in the Cognotropic, but I think a better product to even pair with that and to build a little bit more robust protocol to make sure that you have enough methyl donors, and that you then have the cofactors for methylation is phytomethylate. It's in the name, so it's easy to remember. But phytomethylate itself, as you look on the label ingredients here, it is basically it has the methyl donor with the choline bititrate, and then it has a B6, B12, and a folate derivative in the 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate. And so the B6, B12, and folate in the active form, these are all methylated active forms already. They actually are the most biologically blood-bound forms of these derivatives that can influence the genomic expression of methylation and proper methylation in the body. A lot of people with methylation disorders, they might have a SSNP disorder where they've had basically a substitution of one genome and they can't actually process folate, for example. Well, they have an issue with actually integrating the methyl donors in their diet and having proper methylation expression in the body. So with this phytomethylate, we've optimized the B6, B12, and the folate so that when you have a methyl donor source, which in this product is the choline and the choline bitartrate, which comes from a break fermentation. And if you're using Cognotropic and this product, you have built into a more robust amount of those methyl donors, you are further optimizing the methylation health of the body and the methylation status. And as you can see, there's no fillers or excipients or anything. Everything is robust and live nutrient source.
And I'll just jump in for those who just went, that's a mouthful. So here it is in real layman terms, because that's the way I work, which is when there's an insult to the body, be it chemical, be it environmental, whatever, the body goes through an insult, then the neural and physiological aspect of the body goes into a state of chaos, and communication doesn't happen for us to be able to assimilate certain vitamins or nutrients in the body. What Premier has done is created right here our little friend, and bang, it creates and starts sorting out to be able to start talking to the body again. Would you say that's a good way to wrap it up?
I say that's a very good, I mean, when you're looking at supplemental, products like this, I mean, you could go for a whole food modality with your diet, right? But methyl donors and making sure that it's actually being processed into the proper form and utilized effectively can sometimes be a struggle, especially, this day and age when a lot of people are stressed. What you actually find is your body is upregulating the need for those methyl donor sources. I mean, and we can go and kind of where we build into brain health. A lot of times when we talk about chronic stressors and lifestyle stressors, environmental toxins.
There are none happening now, are there?
Yeah, no, they're totally gone. But I mean, these environmental lifestyle factors that, stress, pesticide use, inorganic material, heavy metals, you can name it. The list goes on and on, right? They actually start pulling the body's methylation reserves because they're used in different capacities. I mean, B12, B6, I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, there's actually liver function and detox function for B6, for example. And if you have, some of these like antagonists that need to be detoxed, well, you will use these reserves in other capacities rather than brain health. So that's where supplementation from a clinical perspective very much so fits in. So pillar to that, phytomethylate, when we kind of expand to the next area that, I really do think is important for brain health, and Peter, you would agree, is the omega-3 aspect with that. And so pillar to that now, Premier Research Labs has two products that we like to discuss when we're talking about omega-3s. We have our EPADHA marine soft gel, which if I don't believe we've actually discussed this on the show here, but the product itself is a fish oil based, anchovy sardine based fish oil. But the cool really factoid to the whole process and production process is that this product does not go through any molecular distillation. And so what that means is a lot of these products that you see on the market, they go through this molecular distillation process where they essentially concentrate, they filter out, concentrate, and they biochemically alter the amount of omega-3s and even the form of those omega-3s to make sure that the numbers on this back panel, this EPA-DHA number, are through the roof. And when you look at our product, you're like 320 milligrams of EPA, and
Yep.
200 milligrams of DHA. Well, the reason being is this is really a whole food source. And when you look at clinically relevant research, right, and you realize where the industry is and how supplements kind of fail in kind of attaining, overall symbiotic and benefits with omega-3 supplementation. Well, a lot of studies, they say you should just eat fish 2 to 3 times a week and you'll be as good as taking a dietary supplement with omega-3s. That costs a lot more because it's been molecularly distilled. With this product, it really is more so that you're eating fish because you are getting the full triglyceride form, as well as with the free fatty acid form of the EPA and the DHA. And they actually come in the triglyceride, these big triglyceride macromolecules with the fatty acids attached. I mean, it's how nature really intended for a fish oil based product to be featured, because what we do is we take this very pure source, anchovy and sardine, which lowered on the food chain, which you don't have as high of a probability for the heavy metals and toxicants that we talked about just a second ago that could impact brain health, right? And then we go through a clay purification process that helps to pick up and bind a lot of those. And so anyways, why omega-3s? Why am I recommending omega-3s for brain health? The crucial aspect here is it's crucial for cell membrane integrity and myelin sheath integrity, which myelin sheath integrity is what coats your neurons and helps to propagate that electric signal that goes down and into that synaptic cleft. So very crucial there. And then, we're talking about inflammation of the body. And if you have a chronically inflamed individual, right, you have these runaway inflammation pathways, you're looking at the body having an inability first to, it's having to deal with that inflammation, but potentially you're having inflammation in the brain that could, disrupt neuronal signaling. And so, but I think the crucial aspect in what, Premier Research Labs, DHA is the end all be all, product that if you're not supplementing with healthy fats and period are so important for brain health. But if you don't have healthy fatty acids and a healthy fatty acid omega-3 profile, whether it's from EPA DHA or DHA Premier, or your dietary sources or DHA are optimized, you're not going to have it's almost like oil in the car, so to speak. And if you're not making sure the right oil is in there, the whole functionality is going to be kind of disparaged. And you want to add anything to that, Peter?
I'll just say from my own personal experience, being a survivor of Lyme and had many different insults to that, when I added this, interesting enough, I started having more childhood recalls, which was very interesting. I've been on it now, well, ever since it came out. So what is it, about 2 years or something like that, right? So, and it's been interesting because my memory has been quicker. So I'll just say, the brain needs food. And if we aren't getting it, especially in today's environment where everything has been so processed, and there's pros and cons to eating straight sushi. Maybe take a lot of HCl, et cetera, afterwards, but a lot of it is pretty toxic also. So here's again, Premier just searching and finding what's going to support life force instead of tear it down, all for the sake of making a mighty buck. There's my plug.
We have a EPA DHA and soft gel and EPA DHA and liquid. We'll have to audit the site to make sure we do have a vegan source as well that's algae based. So it is featured on wellnesswithinreach.com too. But just a little plug for the EPA DHA Marine. We do have a liquid form that's lemon vanilla flavored, and I actually quite enjoy it. So the new, I guess, gastronomic experience. Feel free to try the oil here. Kind of to round up, with the brain health paradigm, phytomethylate, EPA, DHA, more B vitamin supplementation is always a great starting point for anything that you're doing. I think our complete B product is another product to keep in mind to pair with the phytomethylate. Now, I do want to say that this product is it's an in-chain methyl donor, very high clinical therapeutic dose of B vitamins. So you're looking at further optimization of a whole host range of biochemical processes in the body, including neuronal health, neurotransmitter production, genomic expression, list goes on and on. Now we have that new product, and keep that in mind. I think it's a wonderful pairer. I don't know. You take my Cognotropics this morning, obviously. The multivitamin Premier, actually, that because these are foundational products, right? And when we go into neuronal health, we want to make sure the foundation's there, and then we go clinically significant. I'm sure that's kind of how you look at a client is, you need to make sure the base is there, and then we can start attacking the different layers to the, why there might be that cognitive decline. And so having a multivitamin or utilizing, the phytomethylate and pairing with the multivitamin, because they can be used together, just works. It's that symbiotic, synergistic synchronicity that you're looking for in any sort of brain health protocol. Now, what I want to get to is, I think if you're not supplementing with PQQ, then you're missing out on a whole host range of benefits. And we'll probably
my favorites. Yes.
Yeah, we will probably end here, because this, I think it needs its due diligence and its justice, and really what we're trying to achieve and help support with PQQ. Now, as you can see, with CoQ10, and you're like, well, I know what CoQ10 kind of does. It's kind of for heart health, right? If you're familiar with the industry. But what is this PQQ? A lot of people still don't know about PQQ, and PQQ itself, the it's a very hard word to pronounce. That's why it's PQQ.
Yeah,
And
no, totally.
this early in the morning, I'm going to butcher it. Pyrrolidquinone is the technical term. Now, that first little bit,
I love PQQ.
Yeah, but PQQ is better, and we'll keep it with PQQ. But PQQ is actually a cofactor, and what they're actually finding is the main, really, metabolic health support agent of the body. And how is that? Why is that? Well, it directly can influence the mitochondrial health, and I think that's very crucial. Now, CoQ10 does that as well, but it also has some circulating capacities and redox antioxidant facets in the body as well that can be very readily used up. And whenever you're on a statin for like heart health or anything, you definitely want to make sure you're supplementing with CoQ10. But when we get into the biohacking and the optimization for neurotransmitter and conduction of that message, and creating an environment where the body is very, not only is the body able to propagate that signal, but it has the energy reserves, it has the energy capacity to generate that signal and make sure that that's propagated effectively. PQQ actually has the ability to directly go into the mitochondria and affect mitochondrial health. And I think when you look at like anti-aging, longevity, what is a biomarker of age? It's the mitochondria, right? I mean, if your mitochondria are weak, they have leaky, fields in them, they're broken, so to speak. Well, that's your energy unit of the body. And if that is, impacted in any way, you're looking at a deficit in the ability to, whether that's to produce energy to carry a message, or, whether that's to, just make sure that you have enough energy for the day to day. I mean, it's impacted greatly. And so PQQ goes into mitochondrial health, has the ability to affect mitochondrial health in the brain. But also with that, it has a redox capacity. When I read on a recent study, it was about 4,000 times that of vitamin C. And that is...
So quickly define redox for folks.
Yeah, so redox capacity is how many times that a molecule can be used in an antioxidant kind of a scenario before it's non-usable. Vitamin C has a capacity about 4 or 6 times, depending on where you're at. So it can be used 4 times in conjunction. So it can be basically reduced, and then it can be oxidized 4 times, and then it's done. It's basically, that's its lifespan. And the molecule has degraded too far to do any more quote unquote electron transfer. PQQ, and it's not, don't quote me here, because the numbers they're somewhere in the 4,000s, but it is what they found in an in vitro study, yes, that this redox capacity, now the list goes on and on how that can be different than in vivo, but it has a much higher capacity for that redox reaction. And what that means is it's a superior antioxidant to vitamin C. And so if you're chugging vitamin C, now I love our vitamin C, and we talked about our vitamin C in a previous session here, whole food based, you're going to get the best vitamin C. But whether it's oxidative stress, mitochondrial health, brain health, it's cardiovascular health, liver health, List goes on and on and on. It's just, if you're not supplementing with PQQ, I think you are very much so missing out on a supplement that you're not going to get a lot of in your diet and really has the capacity to influence a whole host range.
And I'm just going to step in again, and as a practitioner, QRA, and if we look at symptom to cause, everything starts in the mitochondria. And if we aren't addressing mitochondrial health and expression, either to receive or to express outward, we're missing half the boat. And we know what happens when we have missing half the boat. One, our feet are going to get very wet. So anyways, I just need to throw that in because it has been, ingrained. And the more I go back to it, where people are having their core issues is talking to the mitochondria.
Yeah, energetically, and I think that's really what you're speaking to, right? And
Totally.
nobody thinks about mitochondrial health. I mean, your body should be able to take care of the mitochondria. Hopefully, it's on its own, but we as humans are very bad at taking care of ourselves, and hence why we're here. And so, I really, any protocol, brain health, anything that you are trying to optimize the health and wellness of the body, I think this is one of the supplements that really a lot of people can benefit from taking just to take, because it has a lot of different metabolic functions, and you're not going to get it in really any whole food stores in the quantities that you would find here. And so, it does have CoQ10 in the product. It boosts the effectiveness of CoQ10, but the PQQ is really what is making the magic happen. And definitely, please feel free to give it a look or ask for Peter for more information on the product and how to utilize it, because I am of the belief, and we here at Premier are of the belief, that PQQ is a pillar to any sort of supplement regimen that you're going through. So yes, PQQ. And I think we'll maybe wrap it up there.
Good. Well, definitely a mouthful, but as you can tell, to all of you, this man retains so much in his brain, and it's all because of these products right here. No, only kidding. We might as well wrap it up with a little humor, But I will just say, again, I'm going to reiterate that so much, like my morning English, cellular health is where it's at. For, I'll just say, neural patterning, awarenesses throughout the body. If the brain is not communicating, we're going to have issues, be it from memory, be it to the shakes, to balance issues, you name it. And without our brain, we aren't doing too gooder, right? So take this information and really hold it close to you folks, because these days, look what's happening out there. The expression of Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, MS, you name it. How many other neurological diseases are coming up now that never were an issue before? Yeah. Wonder why? Let's take a look at our environment, our foods, and a lot of our medical practices also. So I'll just leave it with that, and just say thank you all for listening. I'm Peter Howe, wellnesswithinreach.com. I'm here to be of service to all of you. So feel free to reach out if you have questions or a particular health issue, because really we aren't about the symptom, we're about really causal issues. And it breaks down to some very, very simple, basic steps. We're a bunch of onions, depending on how big the onion's gotten in those layers. Solutions, as far as I'm concerned, solutions are there for all of us. It's just finding and learning how to ask the right questions. So, Will, again, big hugs, and thank you from Austin, Texas, from the little village of Montague, Mass. I say thank you very much, my bro, and we will be talking soon. Blessings to all.